Right, it's time for another Half Dead update, and if you don't know what the Half Dead it is a zombie apocalypse book series which I've written. There were 4 books out, and I want to do a blatant plug for it before I get into what I want to talk about today. So, anybody else as disappointed as me about the eclipse that happened last night? Absolute and utter pile of shit, to be honest. I sat out in my back garden for like 40 minutes thinking, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? Checking the time on my phone to say, well, it's supposed to happen at this particular time in this area where I live. And the only thing that I could see was it got slightly ever so dim. And I thought it was clouds passing, because it was quite cloudy, passing in front of the sun. And I thought, well, was that it? Is it? And I'm sitting there for like a good 40 minutes afterwards thinking, I've missed it. Where was it? Did it happen at all? Anyway, that was a pile of crap. But there is a solar event that happens in the Half Dead series, particularly in book 4, The Outbreak, which is a prequel to the first 3 books, and that gives you a lot more details about the virus, how it happened, how the outbreak happened, and one of the things that happens in that book is there is a solar event. So that's out of the way. I wanted to talk about what is happening now in the world of the Half Dead and me and my little writing adventure that I'm going on. So at the moment, I've got a second draft completed of books 5, 6 and 7, which I'm writing all at the same time. But I've been making copious notes as I've been going along, and I've got 6 pages of notes for improvements. A lot of it is kind of just reminders of things that have happened that I need to mention later on in the books, and I don't have to keep trawling back through all of the chapters that I've written to find that information. Small things, some of them are small things, some are bigger things. For example, so the storyline takes place location-wise in Scotland for these next 3 books. So there are a lot of characters in here who are Scottish. So what I need to do is go through their dialogue and kind of Scottishize it. That makes sense. I've done a little bit of that already, but I need to go through and kind of get their kind of speech patterns correct, basically. Then I want to go through, and I've done this to a great extent, but I need to kind of go back through it, and I've made a list of all of the chapters, but I need to kind of date when each chapter is taking place, simply because I'm writing four different main characters who are separated in different locations. So at one time or another, I'm kind of chopping and changing between those characters. So I need to keep track of what day they actually are in, so it makes sense kind of chronologically. So I may have to change the order of some of the chapters that I've written. So I need to go back through the entirety of all those three books that I'm writing and make sure that I've got all the dates correct of when the events are happening, and maybe kind of try and see if they are in the best order to tell the story as well. In the very first chapter of book 5, there's one of the main characters, Paula, who gets injured, and she's got a cut on her nose. So what I've had to do is, it's weird what kind of research that you have to do when you're writing a book, but I had to kind of research how long it would take for that cut to heal, for the scab over and for the scab to drop off, etc, etc. So the healing time, depending on the severity of the cut, will probably take between a week and 2 weeks for that to heal up. So I've kind of, although I've mentioned the injury in the beginning, I haven't mentioned it kind of going forward through the next 3 books. So what I want to do is find the timeline, which is another reason for dating all of the chapters, find the timeline of when that will be scabbed over, when the scab will be dropping off, and kind of just make a little kind of comment in the chapter where it occurs, because I just want to, rather than just completely forget about it, I want to put in that tiny little detail, you know. And then the same main character has a recurring dream. Now I've put in a couple of instances of that dream happening, but I want to go back over all of those chapters and kind of insert that dream, not specifically kind of regurgitating the same descriptions, but kind of at least mention it in certain points, because it's an important detail. And I've neglected to put it in because I was too interested. I was more concerned with writing the rest of the story, so I didn't put in the dream bits kind of consistently throughout, so I need to go back through that and do that. I'm going to put certain little bits of details in that I haven't put in at the moment, but as I was kind of reading it back over the next draft, I thought, oh yeah, I can put that in there, blah blah blah, and just kind of creates a little layer. So for example, there are a lot of people who have gathered in a hotel, and the majority, well, the vast amount of people that are in the hotel are adults, but what I haven't put in are children, babies crying, because there are going to be all levels of different ages that people have survived the zombie apocalypse. So I need to put in things like little crying babies and that type of thing, little kids running around playing and that kind of, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to incorporate some of that into it to kind of bring those chapters alive a bit more. And there's things that I've forgotten, certain references to. For example, one of the characters in, I think it was book 4, that I've referenced his dead wife and dead son, but then I couldn't remember the names that I'd called them. So I kind of, it comes up in the books that I'm writing now, so I need to go back and look at that to find out what those names were, so that I can then put those names into the books that I'm writing now. And also there's tiny little kind of details, like there's a place where they stay which has got room numbers, like a hotel, for example, and there's another place which has got like door numbers on the rooms where some of the characters are staying. And I've mentioned them early doors, but then later on I've kind of not mentioned it, and I've just made a note to say, door number, whatever it is, here. So I need to go back, find out what those numbers are, and then insert those into later chapters. So it's just tiny little things like that I've made notes that I know there's stuff missing, and I need to kind of go back over what I've written and find out all those details, blah 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 blah, and then just insert them into this next draft for these next three the books that I'm writing. So that's that. But also I have got which I've mentioned in previous videos, I've got the audio books which are currently being recorded at the moment by 3 different narrators for the first 3 books, 2 of which are due in 3 days time, and then 2 weeks after that I've got book 3 due. So I'll have to go through that one as well. And one thing that is quite annoying, perplexing at the moment, is I have no narrator for book 4. The woman that I thought I had was making some kind of recordings for me, for examples of accents particularly, seems to have dropped off the face of the earth. I've messaged her a couple of times, she hasn't replied, so I think she is no longer interested, but it would be nice to get a reply to tell me that. Another person who actually asked me about it on ACX was interested after I told them about all the different accents that were required, if she could do them, if she could send me examples, blah blah blah. She did some like brief ones, and I said that they needed it was a start, but they needed improving. Could she work on them for a few days and maybe give me another recording? Got no reply from that, so I think that's a no-show as well. And so I think I'm going to have to start looking again on ACX to see if I can find a narrator who can do various accents. So I think I've made a rod for my own back by including so many different accents. There's British, there's like the kind of London British English, I should say. So I've got a German character, an Italian character, a French character, an American character. There's some Thai characters. So getting someone who can actually do all of those characters, those accents, is proving quite difficult at the moment. So I don't know how I'm gonna go forward with that. I may have to maybe get someone to do it who doesn't do the accents and just does it as, you know, just reading it in normal standard English, which is a bit of a pain because I've got the other three books have got, you know, 1 or 2 different accents in there, and the narrators are doing them quite well, so like Irish accent, for example. So yeah, so it's just annoying. So I wanted to do all the accents so it's consistent with all 4 books throughout, you know. But we will see. We'll see what happens with that. So that's it for this update. Not a lot to tell you, I'm afraid, but I'm plodding on with it, and I'm still not sure whether these 3 books are going to be finished before the end of the year. I'm kind of past caring about it at the moment. I'm just kind of, if it happens, if it, you know, whatever happens will happen. If it doesn't happen, then obviously it's going to be next year before I get the 3 books published, which will be annoying because I want them published this year. Obviously it's in my own hands, but it's like getting the time to actually write the damn things. But yes, so I'm gonna do my best to try and get them finished before the end of the year and published, but like I say, I don't know if that is going to happen.